Hey everyone, it's Sue with Ully Cat's Designs and Ully Cat's World blog, and I'm here today with the Karen Burniston Design Team Challenge for August 2026. And the theme of the challenge this month is mealtime. So I'm going to be using the new Cascade pop-up, and here's my prototype of what we're going to do with that. We're going to install two of them. This one is folded as it normally would. This one has the base folded backwards. We're also going to be using the Mealtime Phrases stamp set, specifically What's Cookin'. To make our card base, I'll be using the previously released Rectangles and Labels crosshatch, the largest of the dies. And then for our front, we're going to do just a flat stove and cabinets, and we'll also use the oven extras, specifically to get the turkey and the hood vent, as well as the detailed cabinet doors. And I'm going to be using the smallest of the greeting labels to cut out that what's cooking sentiment. And then I'm going to be using one of the larger ones for our personal message label inside. For our food elements, I'm going to be using these large round plates, the broccoli, this chicken piece, the mashed potatoes with butter. And we'll also be using this squiggle. Here it's used for like a syrup, but we're going to cut it up and make it into green beans. I'm also going to use the dessert elements, specifically the pumpkin pie and maybe cupcakes or cookies. I haven't decided yet. And the fork. We'll also use, from the Big Birthday Charms, the cake and the fork. And this fork is the same as the fork and the dessert elements. To get our glassware, I'm going to be using this glass. And then I'm going to use the beer mug, cutting off the handle to make it more of a glass tumbler. Because it's going to be a Happy Thanksgiving card, I'm going to use word set 7 that has that phrase. Here's our card base, which I have already put panels on. And this one, I just took my leftover piece and trimmed it with some other leftovers. And there's our inside that has more of the red and white checked cloth. From the oven pop-up, I've cut the front of the oven, and I trimmed off the middle section where the burners would have been. Then I cut the back part so that it has a little base. I put the knobs on, but I forgot that the pots would hide them, but you still get the idea. And I've left the door so that it can open up, and we'll start by kind of positioning. I like to use my grid map so I know where the center of the card is. And I glued together using some wood grained cardstock. I used the grain on the smaller panel, and then I just flipped it over and used the flat side for the other parts. I've cut a strip of my silver texture, it's same as the back there, and I'm going to use that as my guide to glue on my pieces, but I'm not going to glue down the ends. Stop short of that. And I'm just resting that at the top of the crosshatch. And again, I know that this square here is the center. Everything is based off of the stove. So I'm just eyeballing that. And then we will put our cabinets so that they line up with the edge of the stove. And I'm just going to snip that off, a little glue there, and we'll keep going. I'll glue on some cabinet handles. And there's our finished card front. Trim off that extra. So we have our What's Cookin'. I used antique linen and just brushed it on over the cabinet doors to help bring out the wood grain. When styling the turkey, I outlined it with a fine tip brown brush marker, and then I took my vintage photo ink cube and dabbed it with the foam sponge dauber to get the brown look. From the Cascade pop-up, I have cut 2 of the large mechanism and 2 of the small strips. So the one that goes on this side will be the normal way to fold it. So we'll train our folds. those two are valley folds, and then all of this tab are mountain folds, and this one is a valley fold, as is that one. On this piece, this will be a valley fold, and this will be a mountain fold. So for this one, we're going to do similar, but we're doing it from the back side. So our main base has two valley folds. This short strip will have mountain, mountain, mountain. This one will have valley and a valley fold. And that one will, and this one will be a mountain. The next thing we need to do is wiggle this tab through so it comes out, and that will be a mountain fold. And the tab part will also be a mountain fold. Another mountain and a mountain. So I have cut a total of 4 just regular plates. And then from the Cascade pop-up set, there's one circular die that has a slot in it. I cut that twice, and then I took the plate from the Mealtime Elements, and it is smaller than that large slotted circle. And from that, I put the plate die around so that I would plate right up to the edge of the original circle so that I would get the slot cut in. That's my little hack that I do to make it easier. And this, with the slot, is just going to go over that piece right there. And you have to put the plate on before you glue up and close that loop. So I'm just going to put a little glue right on that tab. And we'll glue that closed. And we'll do the same on this one. Now, when I told you how to fold this, I made a mistake. This fold here needs to be a mountain rather than a valley. And when we go to glue this in, we're going to flatten everything down so that when that edge is placed up against the fold, and these two legs are folded back so you can see 1, 2 of the panels, so the tab and the one panel below it. This is the folded position. So this is where you want to make sure everything is inside the card. Put glue on this tab eventually, this one, and this one. So we'll start with this large tab here, put glue on, we'll glue that in, then we'll put glue on this piece here, and we'll straighten out this tabs, try to get it as straight as we can. We'll put glue on those two. So that's lined up with the edge. Now I'm going to put glue on. So I've pushed the slotted plate out of the way. I'm going to put glue on my bottom platforms. I'm going to turn them out so that they're kind of angled with that line there. Now I'll put some glue on our middle platform and bring the slotted plates down. And even though they're slotted, you do have a little wiggle room with them. And then we'll glue on our top plates. And this one I tend to put a little bit off center, and then I try to get as much space, and this one I'm gluing a little bit so that you can get some nice cascading effects. So I have a basic layout of some of the foods, and I'll go through how I styled some of these things. I'll start with the broccoli. I've taken a yellow-green marker and just colored the florets of the peas. And then I'm just putting dots, and I'll color the stem. There's the finished product. You can see that largely the green has kind of blended in. The sandwich I took one of the eggs cut in a tan with brown ink around the edges. Then I cut it in half. I also cut another one of those eggs from green, did no coloring, and cut that in half. You can just see how I layer it together. Probably has a little bit more overhang of the meat and the lettuce than you might on a regular sandwich, but you want the illusion. And this is our squiggles cut up for green beans. I always assume this is the plate for the evening meal after having the big Thanksgiving dinner on this side. So there's a big slice of turkey. This is the largest egg, and I've just colored it with a little bit of my lightest gray, and then I cut a butter pat, which was square. I could cut it as a triangle, use my yellow marker to add some melted butter on it. That's how we got our plate of turkey, mashed potatoes, and broccoli. And there's our sandwich and green beans. And those are all from the mealtime elements. So there's the squiggle cut up for green beans. There's our bread sandwich, our broccoli, and there's our potatoes. Now the desserts. We have chocolate chip cookies, which the die actually does some embossing for those raised spots. I just dabbed my fine tip, and this color is actually called chocolate chip, on there. And then I took some of my Nouveau glitter gloss and put dabs on top of that chocolate, so it kind of looks like they're kind of melty. And the pie comes as just a slice, so I will glue these down so it looks like it's actually coming out of a pie pan, and there is a slice. The cake comes from the charms. I will cut off that charm since we don't need it, and that also has some glitter gloss on it, and there's the fork to go with it. And for our glasses, this is actually some vellum that has adhesive backing, so it's kind of like a sticker, although the sticky part has pretty much gone. So I'm going to say that's maybe a glass of wine. Just go ahead and glue that down. I'm going to put, and then our beer mug, I'm just trimming off the handle and the loop, and that kind of looks like a tumbler of water maybe. And now I just have to glue down all these pieces. I've got all my food glued in place, and I will mention that reverse tweezers are a lifesaver when you're gluing, especially these teeny tiny little string beans. And we've got our glasses on, and we've glued in our Happy Thanksgiving. And here's our finished card. What's cooking? As I said, the oven opens, and then we have our plates full of food from Thanksgiving, and our Happy Thanksgiving, our checkered tablecloth, glass of wine, tumbler of water. Hope your day is delicious. And that also comes from the Mealtime Phrases stamp set, and I use the greeting labels to cut that out, so there's space to write it. And the back is its own decorative papers. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you got some inspiration from it, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.